On January 24, 2020, the BBC reported a very strange news story about an Egyptian mummy that spoke after 3,000 years since its death.
This news caused a huge stir in the international community, especially among those interested in ancient Egyptian civilization. It was almost like a science fiction movie. What does it mean for a mummy to speak after its death? Let's try to understand how this actually happened and answer some questions that are probably on your mind. Who is the owner of this mummy? And how did they manage to make it speak? More importantly, what was the sound that came from this mummy? Can you hear it yourself? Before we answer all these questions, please subscribe to our channel and activate notifications so that you can receive alerts for our videos as soon as they are released. The mummy that we are talking about today is the mummy of the Egyptian priest Mnesiomen, who lived during the reign of King Ramses XI more than 3,000 years ago. Mnesiomen's mummy was discovered in the 19th century during excavations carried out in the Temple of Amun. However, it does not need to be said that his mummy's fate was unfortunate. It was smuggled out of Egypt and eventually ended up in the Leeds City Museum in England in 1841. What is interesting is that Mnesiomen's mummy was lucky because during World War II, England was bombarded by German rockets, and 4 mummies were at the museum at that time. 3 of them were completely destroyed due to the bombing, but Mnesiomen's mummy remained intact without any damage. We are talking about Mnesiomen's mummy because fortunately, tests and experiments were conducted on it, and we were able to hear its voice after thousands of years. However, one may wonder why Mnesiomen's mummy in particular was subjected to experiments, and its voice was heard while many other mummies of kings and princesses could have been examined and their voices heard as well. The reason was that Mnesimon was not an ordinary priest is because he was responsible for reciting religious hymns and songs in the Karnak temple at that time. You could say that he was the religious singer of the Egyptian state, and of course, he was famous at that time for his powerful and beautiful voice. Another thing that changed is that researchers found a discussion on Mnesimon's coffin where he asked the ancient gods to restore his voice again, but in the afterlife, according to his religious beliefs at that time. This is why the researchers decided to fulfill Mnesimon's wish and restore his voice for the second time. And this is where the story begins. Firstly, Mnesimon was transferred from the Leeds Museum in Britain to a hospital where they conducted tests and examinations on the mummy. As soon as the examination process began, they discovered that Mnesimon died at the age of about 50. And not only that, but they also discovered that the cause of death was not natural, but due to suffocation. Do you know what caused Mnesimon's suffocation? Researchers believe that the cause of suffocation may have been due to an insect sting. This sting caused Mnesimon's tongue and gums to swell, blocking his airway, which led to his death by suffocation. However, let me tell you that this is just speculation and not confirmed 100%. But after the priest's death, it was clear that the embalming process was done perfectly, which reflects the great status of Mnesiomen in the Egyptian state at that time. Due to the excellent embalming of the priest, let me tell you that his vocal channel preserved its tissues and characteristics to a very high percentage, which made it easier for researchers to reissue the mummy's voice again. But surely you are asking yourselves now, how did they make a dead person speak? The reason for this is that the matter was actually done with utmost intelligence. First, they performed a comprehensive scan in 3D technology for the vocal channel of the mummy to know its dimensions precisely. Okay. Someone might ask now, how does this step help them and in what? Let me tell you that knowing the dimensions or tragedy of the mummy's vocal channel made it easier for them to create an electronic larynx that mimics the original mummy's larynx exactly. Let me explain further. When you lose a tooth and you need to install an artificial one, what does your dentist do? He takes the exact measurement of the tooth, and this is to make an artificial tooth that perfectly mimics your lost tooth. This is exactly what happened in Mnesiomen's throat, but with an electronic larynx, and after creating the electronic larynx and connecting it to a speaker, everyone started to hear Mnesiomen's voice. The sound that came from the priest Nisiaman sounded like he was suffocating. Researchers believe that this was the last sound made by the mummy before her death, most likely due to suffocation. However, Dr. David Howard, who is responsible for the research, says that they will develop the technology to hear more letters and possibly full sentences and hymns from what Nisiaman witnessed thousands of years ago in the Karnak temple. With this, the mummy of the priest Nisiaman will be the first mummy in history to have her voice heard. In my opinion, they were able to market their museums better by doing this. Imagine when everyone knows about this, a lot of people would love to hear the voice of the mummy naturally, which would attract more tourists to the museum. But is it possible to find another mummy that can speak? Share your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for watching, and if you liked the video, please like and subscribe to our channel to receive all of our videos.